welcome to Graphic Descriptions, and today I'm going to be taking a look at One Piece. I actually really do enjoy One Piece. Who wouldn't love a story about superpower pirates searching the world for the greatest treasure in the world? Wealth, fame, power, having tons of hair-raising adventures, fighting absurdly powerful enemies. It's highly creative and a whole lot of fun. In a lot of ways, it's my favorite comic book that's out, and it's been out for about 17 years, and I've read it for about 15 of the years, mostly in Raws, however. It's not perfect, however. You wouldn't know it by checking the forums, however. The basic consensus seems to be that it hasn't had a down period in over a decade, while mangas like Bleach and Naruto are completely unreadable. There are just entire forums discussing just that. One of the interesting things, though, about Bleach is what should be its weaknesses is actually one of its greatest strengths. Let's take a look at just the look of the manga. Most of the characters are tall and lanky, like characters that Clamp would make. There's a clean look to them, but there's not a very complex design, so it doesn't look too busy or confusing. In a way, it looks like something a child would have designed because there's a sense of fun and a ton of energy that's coming from the designs. However, a negative about this is nearly every single character, especially the females, are built the same. There's really no difference. There's probably like maybe under 10 characters that's ever appeared in One Piece that has a different body type. And it's even worse for the females, with a couple exceptions. The main characters of Nico Robin and Nami, you can notice a difference between them and every other female in One Piece. However, there is a bit of too much of a similarity of how they look to every single female that appears in the city, with the exception of really young little girls and really old women. And if you don't believe me, take a look at the difference between Nami and Kami the mermaid. They look exactly the same. Boa Hancock's face, Nico Robin's face. Exactly the same. When it comes right down to it, the only way you can tell the differences between the female characters are from the hairstyles. Another negative I have with the series is the evolution of the character designs. Take a look at after the Whitebeard saga, also known as the Paramount War in the Viz translation. There's a time skip of about 2 years. Most of the characters in the series before the time skip are either 20 or approaching 20. After the time skip, they're just past 20 years old. Robin is about 30. After the time skip, everyone basically looks the same. You don't see any noticeable difference on how they aged, with the exception of Usopp, who's actually gained some muscle mass. Nami, all she got was some longer hair. And Nico Robin, she wears a dress or a sarong for the most part. Frankie does change, but he's a cyborg, and over the 2-year time skip, he keeps upgrading himself. Now, a positive about how the character design is they look almost unreal, that you just get drawn into them. Whatever emotion, positive or negative, the characters feel, you, the reader, feel it too. It shouldn't work. They have rubbery limbs of exaggerated faces and emotions, but somehow it does. Next, let's take a look at the villains. Every villain character design is unique. The powers are well thought out, and they have a humorously distinctive laugh. Unfortunately, that's about it. Their personalities are one note. They just seem to be evil just to be evil. Why do they do the things that they do? They're evil. Their motivations aren't that interesting, unlike the main cast, but that's because you had time to delve into the past and understand what the main cast wants to do. That time never seems to be given to the villains, even if they've been around for a while. They never give a reasoning on why they do what they do. They just seem to be evil because they enjoy being evil. I know a lot of people complain about Bleach and Naruto, but at least in those series, many of the characters have layers to them. The villains included. Let's take a look at, for an example, in Naruto. There are no 100% evil characters in Naruto, with the exception of Nato the gangster from the Land of Waves arc, and that's only because we didn't get to know him that well. Every character, every villain does not see themselves as a villain. They have realistic and understandable motivations driving them, and we get to understand them. An example of this is the villain Toby. He wants to have absolute peace in the world. Unfortunately, he also wants to remove everyone's free will and put them in a massive hallucination. But at least in the case of him, at least we know what he wants. Okay, I'm running out of time, so I'm gonna try to get to one more, and I'll go into more on another podcast or vlog. Let's take a look at romance and love. There's no real sense of romantic love in the world of One Piece, which seems unrealistic, but it brings up an interesting issue shown in comics. If early on in the comics run there isn't any kind of potential romantic interest introduced, then they won't be. In an interview some years ago, Ichiro Oda, the creator of One Piece, stated that this is a shonen story, so that's why there's not going to be any romance. I disagree with this take. Whether or not you enjoy American comics, I appreciate that there is the possibility of a love interest subplot. That makes the story more relatable and helps ground it. By removing that, you're neutering the characters to an emotional development to some degree. Let's take a look at the first volume of One Piece. It's called Romance Dawn. They're not referring to romantic love. They're talking about the dawning romance of adventure of One Piece, I assume. There's also the love of a Nakama, a friend, a dear friend, meaning close comrade. Because this is a title that's aimed at young boys, I understand a bit where others trying to do, but his target demographic are at an age where they're beginning to get romantic feelings, and it just seems like a cop-out that none of his characters will even acknowledge these feelings. It's like they're unique, like they're emotionally inert, and it doesn't make sense. I mean, it wasn't until you found out a little about Ace and his mother and that she was pregnant with him, that if you didn't know that, and if you didn't see that, you would have thought that everyone gets born in the world of One Piece by storks or something. And when I'm talking about romantic love, I'm not including characters like Boy Hancock and Sanji, because that's only used for the sake of comedy, and everyone knows nothing's gonna. Well, looks like I've just run out of time, so until next time, goodbye.
Here's a McBass played pizzicato.